Welcome to Taguig City and Metro Manila, and welcome to Anthro on Foot's walking tour. This is a self-paced walking tour that features key heritage sites and cultural highlights in the area. We hope you enjoy this tour as much as we enjoyed curating it. Introduction. The region where Taguig is located was part of the larger kingdom of Tondo, one of the pre-Hispanic polities in the Manila Bay area. The Tagalog people, the indigenous inhabitants of this region, established settlements along the shores of Manila Bay and its surrounding areas. Subsequently, the place saw the presence of Moro and Chinese communities, as indicated by recent archaeological excavations revealing artifacts such as cups, plates, and utensils adorned with Chinese characters, believed to date back to China's Ming Dynasty, the ruling dynasty from the 4th to the 17th centuries. Pre-colonial communities in Taguig were engaged in agriculture, cultivating crops such as rice, root crops, and various fruits. The proximity to bays and rivers provided opportunities for fishing, adding to the community's sources of sustenance. Taguig, situated along the coast of Manila Bay, was also involved in maritime trade networks with neighboring communities. The Pasig River served as a vital waterway, connecting inland settlements to coastal areas, facilitating trade. The social structure of pre-colonial Tagalog societies was organized into barangays, which were autonomous communities led by a local ruler. The barangays were engaged in local governance, trade, and cultural exchanges. Much of their pre-colonial history is preserved through oral traditions, folklore, and indigenous practices. These oral histories, passed down through generations, provide insights into the cultural beliefs, rituals, and customs of the early inhabitants. Animism was the predominant religious belief system, and communities had various rituals and ceremonies tied to nature, ancestral spirits, and deities. Sacred sites and natural landmarks held significance in their spiritual practices. The original inhabitants were said to excel in the practice of threshing rice post-harvest. Hence, they earned the designation mga taga-giik, or rice thresher, and their settlement came to be known as Pook na mga taga-giik, literally translated as place of the rice threshers. The arrival of the Spanish colonizers in the 16th century marked a significant shift in the cultural, political, and economic landscape of the area. When Spanish friar Fray Alonso de Alvarado and conquistador Ruy Lopez de Villalobos arrived at the city's present location in 1571 by crossing the Pasig River, they struggled with the pronunciation of Taga-Giig. Subsequently, Tagiig was eventually shortened to its present form, Taguig. During the Spanish colonial period, Taguig was initially a visita, or a mission station of the Franciscan friars under the jurisdiction of Pasig. In 1587, it became an independent missionary center. The Augustinians took over in the early 1600s, and in 1623, Taguig became a separate parish. Taguig was among the earliest territories of the Provincia de Tondo, later becoming the Provincia de Manila, to be Christianized during the Legazpi expedition in 1571. Between 1573 and 1587, it was an encomienda under Captain Cervantes y Vergara, with around 3,000 inhabitants. An encomienda is a form of forced and unpaid labor system used by Spanish authorities in exchange of alleged military and religious protection over the local population. On April 4, 1587, Taguig became a separate pueblo or town after the Augustinian order established a convent in the area. During this time, Taguig had 9 barrios, with Santa Ana serving as the municipal center. During this era, Taguig was accessible via the Pasig River, connected to Manila Bay and Laguna de Bay. The town primarily engaged in rice production, but lacked sugar cane for milling. Fishing and the weaving of cotton cloth and bamboo-made sawali were common livelihoods. The people of Taguig had a long history of resisting colonial rule and actively participated in the Katipunan uprising in its early years. Santiago Bonifacio, father of revolutionary hero Andres Bonifacio, hailed from Ligid Tipas, and Barrio Tipas became a meeting place for revolutionary attacks against Spanish forces by the Katipunan. During the American occupation, while Taguig locals and Filipino revolutionaries vehemently resisted General Wheaton's forces, Taguig eventually fell to the Americans, and on March 29, 1900, it was proclaimed an independent municipality. Taguig was later incorporated into the newly created province of Rizal on June 11, 1901, and underwent mergers and separations with neighboring areas before finally gaining independence on January 1, 1909. The United States also acquired a significant portion of Taguig for military purposes, establishing Fort William McKinley during this period. During World War II, Fort McKinley was occupied by the Japanese Imperial Army until the end of the war in 1945. Fort McKinley was turned over to the Philippine government on May 14, 1949, and became the permanent headquarters of the Philippine Army, renamed Fort Bonifacio. During the martial law period starting in 1972, Taguig, housing Fort Bonifacio, became the site of detention centers for political prisoners. Notable figures like Senators Jose Diokno and Benigno Aquino Jr. were detained, and these centers gained notoriety for human rights abuses under the Marcos dictatorship. On November 7, 1975, Taguig separated from the province of Rizal to become part of the newly formed National Capital Region. Today, Taguig has become a major business and commercial hub, particularly with the development of Bonifacio Global City or BGC. BGC is a central business district known for its modern skyscrapers, high-end residences, shopping centers, and cultural attractions. Despite modern developments, Taguig reflects the town's deep historical roots and plays a role in maintaining its identity.